This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
Could ChatGPT be eyeing my job as the host of Everyday AI? Well, stick around. We're about to find out. I'm Jordan Wilson, your AI aficionado, and this is Everyday AI, your daily dose of podcast, live stream, and newsletter goodness. We're your one-stop shop for all things AI, from ChatGPT to Midjourney and beyond. So we're here to keep you in the loop and ahead of the curve. So speaking of curves, we got a guest today who knows all about them. So that's right, folks. Our guest today is none other than ChatGPT itself. So I know what you're thinking, Jordan, how can AI be a guest? Well, my friends, in the world of AI, anything is possible. So stick around and we're going to chat with ChatGPT about the latest AI buzz, the rise of AI writing assistants. Will they be the next Hemingway or just a handy tool? There's only one way to find out. So stick around. It's going to be a wild ride. So also on the show today, aside from ChatGPT, Brandon Vargas, the producer and host, co-host of Everyday AI. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're doing well. We got an interesting one. See how kind of ChatGPT does. Hopefully they do good with the interview.
We'll see. This is either going to be a lot of fun or a train wreck. So we'll find out. Brandon, this is an unscripted show. Normally, today's going to be a little different. So we're asking ChatGPT to run this whole thing. It told us what's important today in the news. It's doing a lot of things. But I have a question for you. Was that me in the intro, or is that ChatGPT?
Oh, I don't know. I think we should let the audience figure that out. Like, was that a audio generated content you just heard, or was that really Jordan?
All right. Well, here we have to do this. Brandon, in the private chat, I need your vote. And then we'll reveal at the end.
Okay.
You know, to see if Brandon actually knew or not. I need to put him on. The spot. All right. So we're still, if you're tuning in live, watching the live stream, please leave us a comment. Hopefully today's going to be a fun episode. If you're listening on the podcast, Spotify, Apple, whatever it is, please subscribe, leave us a rating if you like the show. So let's get into it, Brandon. Let's talk about what's going on in the world of AI. Full disclosure, we didn't write this.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what ChatGPT has for us today and what it's wanting to talk about.
All right. So here's what ChatGPT is saying is important in the world of AI today. So Anderson Horowat says AI is going to save the world. This is a private American venture capital firm. And essentially what's going on is they're saying that, hey, despite what's going on, AI is going to help, especially in the US, kind of reach global tech superiority. So Brandon, what's ChatGPT want to know from us on this one?
So it's funny. It's talking about itself in the third person already. So maybe it's a little stuck up. I don't know. Is AI kind of here to save the human race, or is it just all tech hype? So I feel like those are both two of the extreme ends of what people have been talking about. Like, is this really the next big thing since the internet, or is this just kind of like a phase and it's going to go away?
Yeah, I don't know. So I'd say no. Obviously, Anderson Horowitz is a huge VC firm, and I think a lot of the big banks and VC firms have been throwing their money behind AI and AI-related companies, probably for a reason. So I don't know if I'd say like, hey, is AI here to save us or save the world, like Anderson Horowitz said. But I do think it, especially from an economy standpoint, at least in the short term, I think it's kind of really helping. It's something that's really driving the American economy, especially over the last couple of months.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I do feel that there is some, of course, there's fear around it, but I think it's fear of the unknown. But when you kind of take a look at how you can approach it, that'll really give you the idea of whether or not it's, actually something that's going to take over for you or help you. So I agree. This is definitely not just like a tech hype, not a trend, not a phase. Like, this is definitely something you should be paying attention to. And that's why we're talking about it. I don't think we'd be talking about it if we thought it was a trend.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't mom jeans. This isn't something that's going to stick around for a couple years, take like 3 decades off, and then come back out of nowhere. Thank you for the comments, Sayeda. ChatGPT, yes, is the guest of the show.
I'm switching the comments around. I didn't realize you were clicking on it.
No worries. And then Jessica, I love this. Jessica says, hate to admit, been using ChatGPT lately to help with my podcast content. Well, Jessica, thanks for that. And hopefully ChatGPT does as good of a job with the rest of today's show as it's doing for you. So next, the next big piece of news ChatGPT told us to talk about. Invisible AIs, intelligent agent cameras, are watching us, apparently. So Invisible AI is a software company specifically working with auto workers and kind of in that in the auto industry. So essentially, it's a vision-based system that spots when auto workers or even the machines in the auto working plants are not doing what they're supposed to be. So ChatGPT, what do they want to know on this?
So ChatGPT wants to know, is this a form of invasion of privacy, or is this kind of like getting maximum efficiency and it's, great for, the industries that could use this?
It's weird, I think, right? Like if we're using AI tech, this invisible AI is supposed to see if, auto workers and the machines are doing their job. Like, I don't know, is that some next level of Inception and AI Big Brother Overwatch? Like, if we're training essentially AI machines to make sure machines are doing their work correctly?
I don't know. I think it depends on where this is taking place, just because, there's obviously tons of things you've heard about just like the manufacturing industry and just like overworking their workers. So like, I think this is a little, it's tough. I'm not in a position personally to have this experience to be like, yeah, like I would hate that. But I think it's on a fine line in between. It depends on how it takes place.
Yeah. So what about, Brandon, I think for like desk workers, right? Like there is time tracking software,
right?
That a lot of companies use, which I think is terrible. I'm sorry, like company, if you're a CEO listening to this and you use time tracking software for your employees, it makes me feel inky. But Brandon, like, do you think this will ever kind of go to desk jobs, or like, would you, like, if you were running a large company, would you want something like that?
No, I wouldn't want it personally, but I can see why someone would use it. I mean, I do feel like with a working from home kind of way of life that we have now, I could see some people wanting to use that. Like, I feel like overall we've gotten a little bit lazier just as like a human race ever since we've been working from home more. So I think that would be something that some people would want to use.
Yeah. It's weird to me, but I get it if it's from like a safety perspective, but when you get into productivity and pushing efficiency, like, I don't know, I'd say this is the literal definition of an AI big brother, right? Just watching even the machines. That's the one that gets me, right? Like, that's wild.
That's funny. Yeah, that is crazy to think
about. So before we get on to what ChatGPT told us to write about next, a reminder. If you're listening to this, whether live or on the podcast, drop us an email. We have a little, mid-show Easter egg here. So send us an email. It's info@youreverydayai.com. So it's info@youreverydayai.com. I wanted to plug this. We're doing a little, we've talked about this on the show before, episode 24, if you want to go back and take a look. Kind of our internal method that we do at Everyday AI for getting the most out of ChatGPT. It's called Prime. prompt and polish. So it's our own internal method. I talked about it in the show, got a lot of comments. People are like, oh, this is amazing. Do you have more information? So for our loyal listeners and, people that have really been engaging with us in the show so far, we already reached out to them. We gave them like priority access. We wanted to have just a small group. So there's, I think, like 6 spots left. So if you want to learn kind of how we've been using this technology, and, Brandon and I, we've been using this before ChatGPT came out, but we've been using the GPT technology since, I don't know, 2020, early 2021. So just give us a shout. So back to the ChatGPT news. This is another one, Brandon, a little inception here. So we have ChatGPT writing about what's happening in GPT news. So another one that you have to think about a little bit. So Automatic is launching an AI writing assistant for WordPress. So WordPress owner is Automatic. That's the company name. So they just dropped what they're calling the Jetpack AI Assistant. So for anyone using WordPress to power their website, and WordPress is the most popular content management system out there in the world. I think, I haven't looked at the stats recently, but I think it powers more websites than the next 4 content management systems combined. At one point, it powered like 30% of the internet, which is crazy to think about. So anyways, this new Jetpack AI assistant, it's kind of, think of it like ChatGPT, but specifically for your WordPress website when you're trying to write content. So there's selectable writing tones, and then it can generate titles, summaries, translate content, spelling and grammar, all that stuff. Apparently, it's going to be $10 a month. So it's not free, but it's cheaper than if you were paying for the pro version of ChatGPT. So Brandon, what's ChatGPT want us to talk about this news story that it gave us to talk about?
So what ways can content creators, even people writing for SEO purposes, use this new tool?
What's your take? You go first.
It's funny because the first thing that came to my mind was other tools they should use instead. Probably right off the bat, just because I haven't used this yet. Like we already know, ChatGPT is proven. We've personally mentioned it before. We use Jasper as another writing tool, more so for pure writing purposes and not research or fact checking purposes. So I mean, if ChatGPT is free, why am I going to pay the $10 just yet? It could have good integrations, and that's maybe where I could see you leveraging this is like one-stop shop. You're already in WordPress. If you use the WordPress editor and builder, then why not? So I guess that's how they can leverage it is like maybe it's like people that go to the Apple ecosystem because it's all connected. It's the same thing. So that's maybe the only benefit I see. I'd have to test it first, but I don't know if you've heard of this or your thoughts on it.
No, I think it was just announced literally hours ago. So there's not even a lot of information out about it. I actually had to fact check ChatGPT on this one because, Brandon, we use WordPress pretty consistently. And I'm like, right. I haven't heard about this, but, ChatGPT knew about it before I did. But there's not a lot of information out about it. I guess one thing that will, swing me one way or the other is what will it be using? Will it be using what's called GPT 3.5, or will it be using GPT-4? So if you haven't used ChatGPT before, the difference between those two, it's like night and day. So if you're a free user on ChatGPT, and a lot of the other programs that use OpenAI's GPT interface use ChatGPT 3.5. So for the everyday person out there, it's the difference between, think of your knowledge as a fifth grader versus your knowledge after you finish graduate school. That's the difference between ChatGPT 3.5 and GPT-4. So it's night and day. So I guess it depends on if you're getting ChatGPT-4 for $10 a month, then maybe I might look at it. But otherwise I'd say, yeah, probably a waste.
Yeah, I agree.
So as a reminder, if you're tuning in live, got a bunch of comments coming on, but if you want us to talk about something, give us something for ChatGPT. We'll plug it in and we'll get it here on the last half of the show. So let's skip to the thing I really wanted to get to, Brandon. So a new Business Insider article today came out with the 10 roles they say are most likely to be at risk because of AI. So this story today referenced a kind of recent Goldman Sachs survey that said that AI tools could impact 300 million full-time jobs worldwide and could lead to significant disruption in the job market. 300 million jobs worldwide is a lot of jobs.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. So anyways, Brandon, what does ChatGPT want to know about this news story that it gave us?
So the question for ChatGPT is ChatGPT the future of the workforce, like this is kind of predicting, or is it just a tool to enhance the current jobs and their productivity?
Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and NVIDIA have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So whether you're looking for ChatGPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI.
Yeah. Sorry, this is still just funny thinking that ChatGPT wrote these news stories for us and is asking us question about itself. Anyways, is ChatGPT the future of the workplace? I don't know. What do you all think? If you're on the live show, let us know what you think. Is ChatGPT the future of the workplace, or just a tool to enhance productivity? I don't know. I think it depends on where development goes in the coming months. I think what happens in the next couple of months is really going to signal how AI in general, not just the kind of GPT writing technology, I think it's going to signal how it's used in the coming years. And what I mean by that, I think we're still just getting off of the initial wave, right? So ChatGPT essentially came out in December, came out like the last 2 days of November. So it's only been out now a full, 6.5 months. So it is still a relatively new technology. And I think it even took a while, probably until this spring, for the everyday person to start integrating it into their workflow. So I think it's a matter of time, for especially small and medium-sized businesses until they figure out how to integrate it properly into their day-to-day workflow. And then at that point, I think then that's when we're going to start to potentially see what this Goldman Sachs study is talking about, like impacting up to 300 million full-time jobs worldwide. Brandon, what's your take?
I think this to me is like the summary and the center of the biggest conversation around AI. And I think this is where a lot of fear kicks in. And I think there's two parts to it for me. One is how do we as humans and the everyday person decide to go about this? If we the people that maybe stay complacent and are like, oh, I don't want to touch this thing. I don't know what it is. We need the true human connectivity is a big argument. I think they're going to be actually the ones that could potentially push it towards that route, because if nobody's learning it, that the people at the top, the CEOs, the people making the decisions, they're going to be like, all right, well, if no one's learning this thing, then I'm just going to figure out how to do it and myself and implement it. Where the jobs and the companies that are actually approaching this the right way, they're going to be the ones to try to figure out how they can implement it properly with their team. And we've already had many people on the show talking about how they work with the team to figure out what ways can we implement AI. Those are going to be the ones that will understand that they're going to get better results and better content, better everything, versus the ones that just try to replace it straight up. They're not going to get what they need. And it might take a while for that to happen and people to realize that. But I could see maybe this initial wave of like straight up replacement if it's not approached properly, like universally, and then people are going to realize it's not good. So that's kind of my take.
Yeah, I think that's a great take. And here's to build on that. And Sayeda, we're going to get to your kind of comment here in just a second. To build on that, I think a lot of companies who tried to integrate GPT or any other AI tools early on were just trying to ride the wave, right? Like if you've ever been surfing, like I tried once, like my wife and I went to Costa Rica many, many years ago, and surfing is like difficult. Like if you've never done it, like you really have to you have to wait for the wave and then you have to catch it. And it's so hard, right? So I think that's kind of like what companies are doing. They saw this giant ChatGPT wave and they tried to ride it, but they weren't prepared. They weren't actual surfers. They just saw other people riding the wave and they're like, let me get in on this too. And so what happened is so many businesses or just individuals trying to use this technology early on, they crashed. They crashed because they didn't know how to surf the wave, right? So I think so many companies are now probably hesitant and they think that AI or ChatGPT or whatever isn't really good because they tried it once. They didn't really know what they were doing, or maybe they just try to copy and paste what someone else was doing. And they're like, oh no, this technology's garbage. Like, look, but if you don't know how to ride the wave, you can't be a surfer. So that was a weird analogy, but that's kind of the way I think about it. So to Sayeda, your question, so saying yes, it is talking about AI in the workplace. Many things will get replaced with it, especially data entry level work. And then also saying we all have to embrace AI to make it to make our workspace compatible. So speaking of that, yeah, like in this Business Insider article, we will link it in the daily newsletter that we send out. So go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for that. So they did reference some of the most common jobs. I'm not going to go through them all, but some of them are, tech jobs, coder, computer programmer, media jobs, content creation, the legal industry, paralegal, legal assistants, teachers, finance jobs, traders, accountants. So we'll list them all. But yeah, Brandon, do you think some of those professions there are at risk?
Yeah, so I think both of these comments that we just pulled up work in tangent. So the first part, like Sayeda said, yes, technically speaking, I agree. Some of those jobs will like quote unquote go away. But to this comment that we're seeing here from Lillian, it's you're going to figure out how to integrate that. And I think your current role or job will be adapted to something else. So maybe your job isn't called a data analyst anymore, but maybe it's like a data supervisor or something like that. And even though you're not the one pulling the data yourself, you're not doing that specific task, you're still going to have to be able to make sense of it or figure it out, like be able to talk to okay, well, as I'm saying this, there are ways you could technically have a recording explain everything to you. But my point is that you're going to need that human element to be able to apply it to the right piece. Who's putting in the prompt, who's figuring out what the prompt should be, who's giving the background knowledge, like we said, our method of priming beforehand, who's doing that. And so this is exactly what I agree with this comment of we're going to need those people still. It's just going to change the way you see your role.
Yeah. So Lillian's comment, if you're listening on the podcast, she said, if it were to be integrated in the office, it will always have to have a human to monitor AI, edit, and proofread. I think that's a common point, and it's super valid. But I'm sorry, Brandon and Lillian, I'm going to go on the opposite side and say, I don't think you're going to need humans for it pretty soon, right? The technology's not there yet. However, we've even been experimenting with this, internally. If we're using ChatGPT for a project, we will use another program like, maybe Bing Chat or Google Bard to check its work, right? Because if you check its work with the same technology, of course, it's going to say, yeah, I'm right? But if you check it with another technology, you'd be surprised. It's actually using other AIs is actually a somewhat effective way to use that normal human role of monitoring. Also, there is newer technology. That technology is not great yet. but something called agents. So, some of the more popular ones that people maybe have heard of, something called Auto GPT, Baby GPT. So we'll save what that is for another show. But essentially, they're little agents that you can assign roles. So you can, have like a ChatGPT, as an example, do your research, and then you can assign multiple agents to act as a role, and you can prime them with information. So let's say, a legal analyst. So you could assign other agents different roles to essentially fact check or to dig in or to find holes of what your first kind of GPT, uncovered or created. So that's wild. It's probably a while out, but just wanted to offer that out.
Yeah. No, I would say I can see it from like an editing perspective. I just think from a whole, you still need certain human elements to operate a business. Like even letting ChatGPT know what we need from it is like that. I just think that's how your role would adapt, but it could mean less people.
Yeah. I think that's ultimately what it is. So even, the kind of what we were just referencing, data collection, right? Yes, you will still probably need a human to tell, the GPT or AI, here's the data, here's what we need. But yeah, it is probably, not talking total elimination, but definitely, I think we're going to see some downsizing, some crazy downsizing. I don't know if it's going to be 300 million, like the Business Insider article, talked about with that Goldman Sachs study. I don't know if it's going to be 300 million, but I think it's going to be a lot fewer because, let's look at a data team, right? Like if there's 20 people on the average data team, and once they realize and figure out how to effectively leverage AI, yeah, you're still going to need humans, but how many are you going to need?
Right.
2?
Yeah.
3?
No, I agree.
I don't know. All right, Brandon, what's your hot take? Did ChatGPT do a good job at this show? Are we still going to be, or is it going to be our avatars, doing this in a couple months?
I don't know. I think ChatGPT did a good job. I mean, these were some big questions, gave a great conversation. We had a lot of people commenting on it, so I think it did a good job. Maybe we should just hand it off to the avatars.
Maybe, yeah. Let's just train the avatars, pump in some human emotion and see if they can take it from here. So yeah, this is interesting. So yeah, Brandon and I were talking, and we were texting. We were just like, let's just have chat. We didn't have a guest scheduled, so we're like, let's just see if ChatGPT can run the show today. So I think it did a pretty good job. So if you know how to use it, because obviously, as an example, in the free version of ChatGPT, you can't get recent news. So you have to really know how to use all of this technology, so we had to use the pro version of ChatGPT, and we had to enable some certain plugins, so yeah, you still have to have a human who knows what they're doing on the front end. So speaking of that, of knowing how to use ChatGPT correctly, Tom, thank you for the comment, saying he loved the convo, former guest. So speaking of that, like I said, if you're still listening, that means you're a loyal listener. If you stuck it out to the end, drop us an email, info@youreverydayai.com. Also, go to that website, sign up for our daily newsletter. We put a lot of work into that to make sure that you can just spend, 5 minutes a day and read about everything that's going on in the AI space. Brandon, thanks for jumping on today and playing the role of ChatGPT's dictator. I guess, ChatGPT couldn't speak, so, human role was definitely
maybe
played.
Next time it'll be speaking.
All right, Brandon, you have to say who wrote the intro, me or ChatGPT?
Oh, the intro was written by ChatGPT. Is my guess.
You're right. It was ChatGPT. All right. Well, please, thank you for tuning in. Join us tomorrow and every day on Everyday AI. I will be the host. We aren't letting ChatGPT take over just yet. So thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you tomorrow on Everyday AI.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.